Hey guys, it's Laura. In this video, I wanted to talk about my journey through neck pain and upper back pain. I'll start off with a story time where I'll share my initial issues and then move into what led up to the muscle spasm in my neck in 2018, and finally talk about the actions that I've been taking to improve my neck and where I'm at now. And if you're not interested in hearing the full story, I'll leave timestamps down below. The main reason why I wanted to share this video and my story with you guys is because I know there are a lot of people who deal with neck and upper back pain, and our lifestyle can be a major contributor to this pain. Before I get started, I want to make it super clear that I am not a doctor, I am not a medical professional, I am merely sharing my experience and my journey so far. If you are experiencing any sort of neck or back pain, I definitely recommend going to a medical professional and doing your own research. Okay, let's start from the beginning. I've been experiencing tension in my upper traps probably since about late high school to early college, but I didn't start experiencing neck pain until February 2014. Long story short, I had a bad fall doing acro yoga at the park. I remember falling on my back and my neck, and I could hardly move my neck. And to make matters worse, I had to get on a plane later that evening to fly out to Arkansas for work for the rest of the week. And sure enough, I spent that week in horrible pain. I vividly remember having to take notes in these day-long meetings with really important people around me. I couldn't move my head much and I had to slouch down to be able to see my screen. I don't think I could have looked more unprofessional than I did that week. From February 2014 to August 2018, I felt like I was in a constant battle with neck pain. On top of these two injuries, I was also traveling every week for work, so getting on an airplane, and I wasn't working in an ergonomically friendly setting. During this time, my upper traps were tighter than ever before, and even if I got semi-regular massages, nothing seemed to do the trick. So what happened in August 2018? I will never forget. I was actually working remotely this particular week and decided to go to a lunchtime hot yoga class. Now, I had been practicing yoga for several years at this point. Everything was completely normal. Halfway through the class, I pressed back into downward facing dog. And for those of you who may be unfamiliar with yoga, downward facing dog is a pretty standard and a pretty basic yoga pose. So as I pressed back, it felt like something in my neck had just seized up and exploded. Using the muscles in my neck to hold my head up was just excruciating. I'll be totally honest, I really didn't want to cause a scene, I really didn't want to draw any attention to myself, because let's face it, if somebody is crying out in pain, it kind of kills the vibe for everybody else. So I abandoned my mat and I managed to make my way to the bathroom. I quickly realized there was no possible way I could drive. I managed to call my husband, Alex, and any composure that I had just melted away, completely vanished. I was crying so hard that he could barely understand me, and I didn't want anybody to see me in that state, so I hid in the bathroom for the next 30 minutes while I waited for Alex to come pick me up. While every bump during that car ride was painful, nothing beats getting in the car, getting out of the car, and eventually trying to lay down. That was unbearable. And you have to think at this point that the adrenaline in my body had probably worn off, so I was pretty panicked and I was realizing that I needed some sort of muscle relaxer. I needed something to be done in the immediate future. Alex took me to an urgent care center and I did get the medication that I needed. And believe me, I am not one to take medication unless I absolutely have to. Once we got back home, I was on the hunt to find a new chiropractor that was closer to where I lived and one that would see me as soon as humanly possible. Sure enough, I was able to find a chiropractor about 3 miles from where I live, and they were able to see me the very next day. After my initial set of x-rays, the new chiropractor turned to me and said, "Well, your neck was a ticking time bomb. That muscle spasm was bound to happen. You don't have a curve in your neck." He then explained that due to my past 2 injuries and likely the position that I'm holding myself in when I'm working, when I'm sitting on a plane, when I'm looking at devices, has caused me to jet my head forward. And jetting my head forward has therefore reduced the natural curve in my cervical spine. To give you guys an idea of just how bad my neck was, the natural curve in your cervical spine should be about 40 degrees. Mine was about 7. I was honestly shocked and a little angry because I had been going to this other chiropractor for years and he had never said anything about the curvature in my cervical spine. But honestly, it didn't matter anymore. All I wanted to do was to fix my neck. I am really proud to say that I've restored the curvature in my neck to about roughly 20 degrees. While I'm still working towards improving the curvature in my neck, I am aware that I might not be able to reach that 40 degrees due to my past injuries. You want to know what I've noticed? I'm experiencing way less neck pain and surprisingly, hardly any upper trap tension. And you know what? That discomfort kind of vanished without me even realizing it. While going to this new chiropractor has helped significantly, I attribute so much of this progress to the habits that I've established to improve my posture. So now it's time to talk through specifics. What have I actually done tactically to help improve the state of my neck? Let's get the chiropractor stuff out of the way first. For starters, I switched over to this new chiropractor and visited him about 2 to 3 times per week for the first 2 months. Eventually, I transitioned to seeing him about once a week, every other week, and where I'm currently at, every month. He also introduced me to my favorite tool, which is now a staple in my morning routine: the chiropractic wedge. Not only does this help release my neck and my shoulders, but it also helps restore the curvature in my cervical spine. Basically, this is a little foam wedge that you can put behind your neck and you can lay on it for about 10 minutes. Now, I would recommend talking to a chiropractor first because this may or may not be something that you even need. And I know there are other versions on Amazon, and shop around and do your research and figure out what works for you and what works for your body. There was one that I tried off of Amazon that honestly I really didn't like. It didn't give at all and it was just painful to lay on. I use this wedge religiously. I use it every single morning as soon as I get up. I can't even begin to describe how much I love this thing and how much it's helped me. Now we're getting into what I think is the most relevant for you and what has taken the most patience, practice, and determination. Quick question, what is your posture like right now watching this video? Oftentimes when we're staring at screens, our head juts forward, our shoulders round forward, and sometimes we're even looking down. This is not ideal posture. And the next time you're around a lot of people, take a look at how they carry themselves, especially if they're looking at their phones. Our posture is something that we need to pay more attention to, even if you don't currently have any neck or back pain. It's something that could happen down the line. It's important to be aware of our posture, especially because so much of what we're doing is in front of us, like typing on a keyboard or working at a desk or even driving. So I want to highlight some things that I've personally done to help improve my posture. Most of us spend a lot of time looking at devices, and one of the most helpful habits that I've adopted is trying to look at my phone and my computer at eye level. Now, I don't want to give the impression that I'm perfect at this because I'm definitely not, but awareness is a huge step forward. So when I started working on this specifically with looking at my phone, I really tried to change my mindset so that anytime that I did catch myself looking directly down at my phone, instead of just getting mad at myself, I celebrated the fact that, hey, I remembered to look up at it. It definitely got easier over time, but it was really helpful for me to not just beat myself up whenever I screwed up. And as far as looking at my laptop, I did get a stand that allows me to keep my laptop close to eye level, and I did get an external keyboard and mouse, and that allows me to keep my arms at a 90-degree angle while I'm working. Throughout the workday, I've found it really helpful to change up my positions throughout the day. If I stand or sit all day, I find that my posture suffers and I end up feeling soreness in my neck, my shoulders, and my back. In a previous video, I did mention that I recently upgraded to a new electronic standing desk. While my previous desk was a more traditional desk and I had set it up to allow me to be able to sit or stand, honestly the setup was just a little bit clunky and I didn't find myself wanting to work there. What I love about my new desk is that I can raise or lower it to the exact height that I want it, and now I have tons of options to change positions throughout the day. So I got a standing mat and a balance board for when I stand, And I have a stool, a bike, and a regular office chair for when I sit. And as an added bonus, and I had this set up with my previous desk, but I have a treadmill underneath so that way I can turn my standing desk into a walking desk. And whether I'm working on my computer, on my phone, or if I'm even going for a walk or running errands, I'm trying to pay more attention to my posture. Specifically, I try to think about creating space between my ears and my shoulders, drawing my shoulders back, and trying to keep my ears in line with my shoulders. This has definitely been the most difficult habit to develop, but I think it's also been the most worthwhile. I actually just started off by setting multiple reminders on my phone. And I also tried little tactics like every time I checked Instagram or I checked my email, check my posture. Slowly, I started remembering that this is something that I needed to pay more attention to, and it became something that was just part of my routine. So a few other little things that I'll mention. I did switch over to a contour pillow when I first started this journey, and it has been wonderful. So I use that contour pillow, I sleep on my back, and then I have another pillow underneath my knees. I've also become more cognizant of the way that I sit and what I'm sitting on. And what I've found for me personally is sometimes when I'm sitting down, I arch my back and I stick my butt out. Don't want to do that because I'm not engaging my core. I generally try to sit on chairs that have a flat surface, but there are times, like in my car for instance, where the seat actually slopes down towards where my butt would be in the seat. This is not ideal, so I actually just fold a towel up and put that where my butt goes, and that way I have a flatter sitting surface. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys!